She must have found that jacket in a thrift store, one officer muttered with a smirk, just loud enough to draw laughter from the table. Another leaned in, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Bet she doesn't even know what those patches mean. At the center of the military banquet hall, where crystal chandeliers hung above white linen tables and officers mingled in full dress uniform, an elderly woman stood quietly at the edge of the room. Her olive-drab military jacket looked worn and faded, with vintage patches sewn across the chest and shoulder, patches that to most in the room were just decorations from a different era. She didn't respond to the remarks. She simply stood there, hands clasped in front of her, eyes scanning the photos lining the wall, her expression somewhere between proud and distant. A few guests tried not to stare. Others whispered with thinly veiled amusement. To many, she looked like someone who had wandered in by mistake, out of place, outdated, uninvited. The chatter grew louder near the center table, where a group of mid-ranking officers shared drinks and jokes. "If she's a veteran, I'm the Queen of England," one of them laughed. "She probably stitched those patches on herself." Their words were sharp, but their laughs were sharper. The woman heard every word. Her lip trembled for half a second. Then she inhaled, slow, quiet, practiced. The kind of breath someone learns to take when they've heard worse, survived worse, and lived through what no one else in the room could possibly understand. And then everything stopped. A hush swept through the room like a wave. People straightened, conversations cut off mid-sentence, footsteps halted. Because General Thomas Rourke, a man known across the branches, had just entered the hall. Tall, decorated with silver hair and stars on his shoulder, he carried with him the kind of presence that turned noise into silence. But he wasn't looking for protocol. He wasn't scanning the tables. His eyes locked instantly on the old woman standing near the wall. And without hesitation, without a word, the general walked past the crowd, past the stunned officers, and stood directly in front of her. Then he saluted, crisp, full, military perfect. The room froze. The officers who had mocked her were suddenly pale, their confidence vanishing as quickly as it had come. One dropped his glass, another took a step back, whispering, "Wait, what's happening?" General Rourke held his salute. "Lieutenant Commander Evelyn Shaw," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "it is an honor to be in your presence." She smiled softly, her eyes glistening. "At ease, General. That was a long time ago." He lowered his hand, but his voice was still filled with reverence. "Ma'am, some honors don't expire." Then he turned to the crowd. "The jacket you were mocking? That's not from a thrift store. That's an original combat flight jacket from the Vietnam era. And that patch on her shoulder, that's the Distinguished Flying Cross, one of the highest honors you can earn in the air. She flew medevac helicopters under enemy fire, repeatedly, saved dozens of lives when she could have turned back. Most of the men she rescued were younger than you. Some of them were your rank." Now there was no sound, no laughter. Only the weight of realization crashing over everyone like a flood. General Rourke wasn't done. She was the first female combat pilot in her unit. When they told her women didn't belong in war zones, she flew into the hottest zones anyway. And when her co-pilot was shot mid-mission, she finished the flight herself, wounded. Landed it with no hydraulics, bullets in the tail, and 3 wounded Marines still breathing in the back. The officers now looked down, ashamed. The very jacket they had ridiculed had been worn through fire and chaos they couldn't begin to understand. And the woman wearing it. She didn't need to brag, she didn't need applause. She had already lived the truth. One of the younger officers stepped forward, face red, voice trembling. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, we didn't know." She looked at him kindly. "Then let this be a lesson. Lieutenant, you never need to know someone's story to show them respect. But if you take the time to listen, you might just learn something worth remembering." General Rourke offered her his arm, and she took it gently. Together they walked to the head table, where a seat had been left open beside the flag. The room remained silent as they passed, but now the silence was full of something new. Honor. That night no one mocked the jacket again, because they'd finally learned who she was. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment where are you watching from. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. You never know. The next one might just change your life.